Hello everyone, welcome to these exciting Art House Urban Bright Arts and Education videos. Art House's mission is to inspire exploration and expression in the visual arts. We work with professional artists who will be instructing you on some amazing arts and crafts projects. Are you ready?
Hi, this is Megan Frable and I'm a summer intern with Art House, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to paint with gouache, and we're going to be painting a cardinal. So here's just the test version that I did, just to give you a good feeling of what we're going to be creating. And so all you're going to need today for this project is gouache paints. So I am using Winsor & Newton ones, which are very high grade, but I also have a really nice set. I believe it's Reeves. It has like a lot of different colors, and it's probably like $10 to $15 at any of your hobby stores. So like Michael's or Joann or Packagans when it used to be here. And then I'm just going to be using basic palettes to mix my paint. And then I'm going to be using low tack tape. This is just to edge the border of my piece so that I can take it off at the end and have clean lines on the edge. And then we'll reference a photo of a cardinal in order to get started. Okay, so to start this painting, I just drew a quick little square. I actually just used like this little to-do pad I had and traced it just to get a feeling for what I want. And now I'm gonna put down my low tack tape. To make sure I get a clean edge. Yeah, you want to be careful what tape you use for this type of thing, because if you aren't careful, you can use one that will rip your page. And you don't want to do that. You can see I'm just outlining the edges. Okay, so to start, as we did with our last video, I'm going to start sketching what we want to draw as our subject. So I am going to just look up a quick picture of a cardinal. Okay, so now that I have my photo pulled up, I am going to sketch my cardinal. So again, the bird is going to be very basic line work because we're going to be going over this with paint. And you might have to change the approximate size of the bird depending on how it turns out. This is a little bigger than my original painting, but it shouldn't be too off. So we're just gonna block in the area where the bird is. And cardinal is the Ohio bird, the state bird, there we go, that's the word. The state bird for a couple states, so not just Ohio, which is kind of interesting. It's one of the most, I think it's one of the most popular state birds, our little red friends. So I am just starting to outline his body and his wing. So I'm going to draw this tree branch in here, right where his claws are gripping. I have that tree branch kind of wind behind him and across the page. Again, just keep simple lines. Might have his wing come out a little more here. And fill in that tree branch. So once your bird is drawn to how you see fit, we're going to kind of go in and do a little touching up with the lines to make them lighter for when we paint. Because I was a little sketchier with this than I was the first time. Just want to make sure it looks nice. Alright, so the tail is going behind the tree branch here. And then we're going to take our trusty little rubber eraser and we're going to dab. There's a little bit of stuff on it. And dab and clean up around the edges of him to make sure that our little bird is ready to paint. So just to do a quick little review with gouache, it's a little similar to watercolor because you do paint using water, but it's a little thicker, and how you want to mix the paint consistency is a little different as well. And I will show you how to do that properly in just a moment. Okay, so now our bird is nice and light. We don't want to make him as light as we made one of our past subjects, the cityscape, because we do need to see him, because watercolor is a lot thinner and you can't always see through it. So I'm going to be using our basic colors of gouache and on the color wheel. So I'm using red, yellow, and blue, and I'm going to put that into my little mixing thing. And with this, you don't need too much paint. Just a little bit will do the job. But you might have to come back later and get a little more paint. But it's better to start off with a little, and you don't want to put too much in and then end up wasting some of it. But one of the nice things about gouache is that you can reactivate it and put water on it even after it's dried, and it'll still paint just like new. Alright, so I put our three basic colors down, and I'm back here. I'm going to put down our white and our black paints to adjust, oh, there goes the cap, to adjust our tints and colors. I use more white than I do anything when it comes to mixing colors, because to make darker colors, sometimes it works a lot better when you just mix colors together. So like if you had a blue and a red to make purple, you can also add in other colors to make it a darker version of it. So I have my basic paints down here, and since we are going to start and build up, gouache paint works best when you kind of start in the back and you bring yourself forward. We're going to start with the sky, and for that I'm going to use like a lighter version of blue. So I'm going to take some of this blue paint and I'm going to move it into one of my mixing areas. And the thing with gouache paint is you want it to be like kind of like it's got to be almost like soft. Like it doesn't want to be, you don't want it to be like watery. You still want to feel like you have a good amount of paint on your brush, but you don't want it to be like super thin like a watercolor. So I'm going to use a different brush to bring that white into the blue. Grab my white and put it over here, and then I'm going to use my blue brush to mix that together, and we'll see what nice color we get. Okay, so we're getting a nice blue, and right now we have almost a little too much paint and not enough water, but again, we don't want too much water, so it's good to just go in and build up your paint so that it's nice and even. Okay, so I think that seems good. And with gouache, you don't want it to be too streaky, so sometimes you have to go over it multiple times, but I'm just going to start up top, start making my way through. And you're gonna have to like reapply a good amount of paint. I might not have made enough of this shade. We'll have to see. And you don't want it to be too thick of paint either, that it's really streaky. That's why you need a little bit of water to make sure you can move it across the page. And that's one of the nice things, because gouache can be reactivated. If you mess up something, you can always let it dry and go back in and fix it. It's very easy to layer. It's less finicky than a watercolor. But it's not as like permanent as like a acrylic where you need just a lot of paint to do something. Okay, so we're just gonna continue painting our sky. I'm just gonna paint around our little bird. And even if it is a little bit streaky, these are things that'll get cleaned up with when it dries, and we can go over it. I should maybe use a little bigger brush, but I want to make sure that I'm getting around those fine points of our little cardinal. A little bit more water. You see though, like if you don't have like a solid like sheen to your paint, it can be too watery, and then won't be like the nice clear color that you're trying to get. Because again, it is thicker than watercolor. You don't really want to be able to see through the paint. The nice thing about the sky too is, as I like to say, it's always a lot of different colors. So if there's streaks in it or shades or clouds, it all looks nice in the end. The sky is always a little different. Oops, so I went out a little bit on my cardinal's head with that blue, but see, that's the nice thing about gouache, is I can go back in and it will be basically covered up by the red paint. And then one thing you have to be careful with gouache is really making sure that it dries before you put more gouache on your page, because it does reactivate. You don't want to mess up the coats of paint you already put on. So I'm just gonna focus on finishing up this background. Might have to mix more paint, we'll see. So while that dries, we'll start mixing another paint color. So next, I think I want to do the branch. And so for that, we're going to need some orangish colors. So first, to make orange, we're going to mix our red and our yellow. So I'm going to take some yellow, red. Keep that on here. And I'm going to grab another brush to grab my yellow. And we're going to need orange anyway to layer the cardinal. But for now, we're going to make our orange here, and then we're going to make more to use for brown. You can see, depending on the amount of yellow you put in, the more like reddish orange your color will be. So if you want to go for a lighter yellow, a lighter orange color, you want to add more yellow. But because we're doing a cardinal, I think that bit of a, oops, I should probably not have mixed my paint like that. That's okay. Gonna mix a good amount of this orange in here, just so it's nice and like smooth, not too watery, not too thick. And then I'm gonna try and take some of this, put it in one of our little side ones. We're gonna try and make some brown. So like a purple and blue works really well to kind of make it a little more brown. So to start off, we're gonna maybe we should probably do a lighter brown first, but I'm just gonna put this in and see. It's gonna look a little greenish. We're gonna need to put more orange in there. And that's because of the yellow within the orange. Gotta get lots of color. Might put some pure red in there as well. So we're getting a brown. It's a little more of a reddish brown. But that's why kind of just mix things until it feels like the color you really want. So now we're getting like a nice basic brown color. If you want to test it out on your page, you can do that as well, just to see. So it's still reddish, but it's a nice color. And what I'm going to actually do is build on these shades. So I'm going to start with this brown for our tree branch. So you can see our sky. It's a little blotchy. And what we're gonna do, which I kind of experimented with last night, is since you can put water on top of your sky, and I want to have a more textured sky, I'm gonna just put some flat water on here, and then I'm gonna pick it up with my pick up a little bit of it with my paper towel to kind of add a little bit of depth so it's not all just like one color. I'm probably gonna do it over here too, but let me grab a sheet of paper and just pull some of it out. And that's not going to be the clouds necessarily, it's just going to give it a nice little value without using another color. Just a little fun. Okay, I'm just going to blot some of that out. And that'll add a nice depth. And we'll go in and add clouds too. Just not quite yet. So for now, I guess we should mix an orange for our bird, because I did kill our orange with some of our other colors. I'm gonna put some more red here. So that's gonna be for our cardinal. I'm gonna put some of it over here to make our orange again. And I'm probably gonna change my water after I'm done mixing this. I'm just gonna scoop up a bunch of that. bunch of that yellow, start making like a reddish orange over here for it. Grab a little more. Yeah, just knock out that yellow right now. We're gonna have a nice orange color to start putting into our cardinal. Okay. I'm gonna be right back. I'm going to go empty my water glass.
Thank you for listening to Art House's video today. Don't forget to like, share, and comment with what you've made. Tune in to another instruction video on our Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube page. We are grateful to our funders and individual donors who have made this programming possible. We also wish to thank Lil Blizzard Boy from Refresh Collective for our background music. See you soon!